In this episode, we have two very special guests. We have Sean and Roz Woodland, who are real estate investors and also a couple of faith. And we're so honored to have them with us in this episode. So stay tuned to hear what they have to say. Welcome to this episode of Same Page. My name is Sarah Simagist, and I'm with my husband.
Zinal Simagist.
As I said, we have a really great guest with us. We have Sean and Roz Woodland. And thank you so much for accepting to be a guest on our show, guys.
It's our honor, pleasure. Absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. It's a great honor.
Yeah.
All right. So how about we just start with just tell our audience a little bit about yourselves.
You want me to go first?
I do.
Sean and I have been married for 7 years. I work at Woodland Realty Investments, and currently also still hold my position at Carleton University, where I've been since 2003. In research project management. So it gave me a great background when we're dealing with contractors and how long renovations should take and how much they should cost.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I'm Sean. I work for the City of Ottawa at the library. Our cat's going to try and get in here.
Our cat might come and join us.
Work at the Ottawa Public Library as a bookmobile driver. And we founded Woodland Realty Investments 2020 at the beginning of COVID, and just having a great time.
Okay, so not a long time, which I really admire, because from what I know, you've done a lot during that time. So we're going to get into that a little bit later on. But before we start into the meat of this episode, we have a question that this or that question that we ask our guests. So we're going to ask you guys, would you rather hear a baby crying for an entire flight or have turbulence for the entire flight?
Oh, that's a good question. I know for myself, I'd rather have the turbulence.
I agree with you.
Can I put on headphones?
Well, I asked the same thing, but you cannot. What would you
say? How long's the flight?
4 hours. You're going to
the same destination.
That's a tough question. Probably turbulence.
Right?
Yeah.
Turbulence.
What was your answer, by the way?
Well, for me, I'm in agreement with you. For me, it's a turbulence.
They're holding the baby.
Exactly. Yeah, there's that. And also, like I've experienced both, and I can sleep through turbulence, but like the baby screaming constantly, it's hard to get a nice, comfortable sleep with that noise in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the baby, because every little bit of turbulence, I think we're crashing. So I'll take the baby crying. That's fine. I'll have a headache later on. But
Sarah doesn't travel very well in a plane.
Oh, okay.
No, she's just not a thing.
So let's get into it. I want to know why you guys started investing in real estate.
For me, it was, I don't know, somebody told me when I was younger, and I was working dead-end jobs and stuff, and this guy went into his house, he had a nice home, and he's like, John, real estate is the answer. But I was so stubborn. Like, I heard that probably in my early 20s, and I was just, it didn't register. And then it just kept coming back to me every now and then I decided to give it a try, and it just, best choice I ever made. Best choice. So yeah, and it's thrilling to do it. Like it's like let's go, I want more, and then you get going anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was dead set against it.
Okay.
Dead set against it. Dead set.
And what convinced you to tag along?
Well, our pastor said before we got married, that if we didn't figure out our financial differences, that he wouldn't marry us. So, so that was the beginning of the journey. So finding that your podcast is the same page, he told us we had to be on the same page or he would marry us. So we went to More Than Enough Financial Fitness, to which is a Christian, that's their kingdom ministry, to teach people how to live below their means and be consumer debt free. Right. So that's where it started. And then we met our realtor there, and he wrote a book called The Wealth Formula, and it's about real estate investing, and that's changed everything. Although I was still a hard sell. It still took me a while to get from purchasing a home to invest. Well, like 2 years. So
And now I think we have too much on our plate, like trying to stabilize properties, and Roz keeps bringing more listings.
Yeah. We went to see, we had 2 showings on Saturday. We went to 2 viewings on Saturday. Yeah.
So we all know that the relationships, it's all about compromises. So what was it that you guys each have to compromise in order to bridge that gap between your differences in your financial habits?
I'll just say truly, most of it was me, not that I'm the most compromising person, but because when we went to the financial fitness seminar, Sean was closer to biblical financial truth and I was much further away.
Okay.
So I had some really terrible real estate experiences, like personal real estate experiences, not investment ones. And I made Sean watch it the other night. There's a movie from, what was it, like the 80s called Pacific Heights. I don't know if you've ever seen it. If you haven't, you should watch it.
Okay.
It's a movie about real estate investing. And it's a thriller. So I saw this movie when I was probably in my 20s or something. And I was like terrified, like I will never own a home because I saw this sort of thriller horror movie about investing. So it was just something that stuck. And then Sean saw it. This was like 2 weeks ago. And he was like, that was a terrible movie to watch. Now you see why I was so resistant.
Yeah.
It makes you think about training your tennis.
It really does. Yeah.
You know what? There's a lot of times, oftentimes, couples, actually, we just filmed an episode about it, where one person in the couple comes to us, or more specifically to me lately, and are asking me about like, how can they get their spouse more interested in real estate? And I'm loving that prior to getting married, your pastor is stressed the importance of being on the same page about your finances, because there's, I think, divorce happens. One of the biggest reasons is finances. There's, other ones, but one of the biggest reasons is financing. You mentioned More Than Enough, and interestingly, that's how I got out of debt. I went to More Than Enough, and I think Wealth Formula is from Ken Dekker.
That's right.
Yeah. So I read that book, and that's how I started not necessarily thinking about real estate investing, but thinking about money differently and how I needed to get out of debt. So definitely a great book, and I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah. And then, of course, when we met Alfonso Cuadra, then everything.
Exponential,
right. Yeah. We already had one investment property, and we were just working on the second one. Like we hadn't closed yet, I don't think, but we already had the deal was done, but we hadn't closed when we met Alfonso. Yeah. And then now we're.
Yeah.
That was it.
Flip the switch, change the mindset.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know mindset is something that is very important in this business because there are so many obstacles, right? You put a property on the contract and it doesn't work out, or you can't raise the capital or whatnot. Talk to us a little bit about how you're able to develop your mindset and what you do on a daily basis to make sure that you have that mindset, that growth mindset.
It's not easy all the time because there's so many variables that can happen. From time to time, you get one that's really easy. There's no problems. you get good tenants, or you get a vacant possession, whereas you can fill your own tenants, which is ideal. But as you work through, like right now, I'm personally going through some ups and downs. But last time we were supposed to meet, it's like we're dealing with this tenant, going through all these problems, and I'm trying to learn the landlord-tenant board. I'm trying to learn patience, trying to learn that
all the forms.
Yeah, like it's really challenging. And then because you challenge a tenant, they don't want to pay. I mean, there's all kinds of things. And then there's the properties. When we're just talking about insurance, it's like, okay, this fits with this, you know what I mean, based on these numbers when you're underwriting your properties. And then you get an insurance quote or something that comes back that's like, whoa. So, I mean, you always have to just take a step. Well, for me, I take a step back and pray, of course. And then I'm just like, okay, maybe we're going to get through this. It's just another hurdle. We'll get through it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you have like the right answer, right? And there are hurdles, but just because of your mindset itself, you're just like, okay, we're going to get through it. And there's that faith piece that keeps you going, which we really admire about you guys. I also, one of the reasons actually we wanted to have you guys on here is because when we went for that walk the first time, one of the things that you guys emphasized is giving back to your church community, and educating them on financings and investments and things like that. So talk to us a little bit of how you guys do that and why you find that it's so important.
I think because that's where the journey started for us, was with our pastor. And then, you know, when he said, like, you guys need special help. So he was the one. So our walk the whole way has been primarily with Christians, the Dekker Team, also Christian. So it's just, you know, it's been part of our faith journey. So when we're waiting, you know, if we put an offer with the Dekker Team on something and we're, you know, on pins and needles, I mean, obviously through COVID because of the multiple offer deals, right? So is it going to be us? And, you know, Ken will always come back to us and say, you know, who's in charge? Well, it's God, right? So yeah, if it's meant to be yours, you'll get it. And if it's not, but we still have, you know, that theme. And getting out of consumer debt was such a blessing. Like, it was just such a blessing. And it was just like, you need to understand that, for example, you know, and as you know, in More Than Enough, they're like, if for people that are paying $300 a month for different cable packages, like, stop. If you're in debt, anyway, right? Yeah, working. Or if you have to sell things, like, there's sacrifices that we make, right? When Sean and I lived on the water last year, and then we made the decision, like, we can, you know, this is a really good financial decision to leave this place right now and keep our home and then buy 2 other duplexes, right? It's just, you know, so we left the beautiful view and all that stuff, but and we wouldn't have done that before, right? I think people become entrenched and let's keep our home, let's pay off the mortgage, and then it's zero and life is going to be good. It's like, well, you still have every other expense, if not your mortgage. But we invited Dave and Reb to come to our church, and, you know, it was our gift to the church to have them come and speak. And it was fairly well attended. There was probably about 20 people. We're not a big church. It's about, 100 people. So that's a pretty good turnout of people that want it. But, you know, you don't know what you don't know until you know. And the huge blessing, we had a young couple, they're getting married in May, to explain to them, you know, what the benefit of moving into a duplex and getting the income from, you know, the other side. Anyway, it's just so, you know, you don't learn this in school. So to be able to have the privilege to teach others how it can change. And then it's pretty awesome. We have so we're in Prescott now, and we have a good relationship with the bylaw guy and the building inspector. It's the same guy. It's the same guy here in Prescott. It's not very big. And, you know, he, you know, thanked Sean for the properties that we're buying, and because we we start lifting them right away, makes the community look better. We usually hire local people to do the work, and it's just, we're just trying to keep the economy going and just make everything better, keep people employed, give tenants a nice place to live, stop leaky roofs,
That's awesome.
Well, it seems that you guys have this innate want to serve your community. Have you guys always felt that way, or like were you brought up in a household that was very open and giving to serve their own community?
Not me.
So where did that desire stem from?
Well, when we did our key performance indicators, right, the things that drive you, Sean's primary driver is finance, it's money. And so his is a 99, and for me, finance is a 1, right? Like,
wow.
I don't do anything. I'm like, whatever, right? So, but my altruism is 99. So for me, it's all about, so the money is what makes it, it's the money that makes us able to give what we can give, right? So I wouldn't be able to do the giving if we didn't have the finance part. So it just sort of, we have this energy. So Sean is very giving as well, but I mean, it's what drives me. It's my passion, right? So, and real estate and working out the numbers is his. So
that's great.
Before meeting the Lord, I was, serve me. I'm going to serve myself. I come first, and until him, like my life changed that way because of what he gave me for the chains he broke and all of that stuff, right? So just like, you did this for me, now like everything is for you. Yeah.
Great.
I was gonna ask, now you guys are in real estate together. There's some couples that do it together, and how do you guys divide the roles? Because there's so much to do. Do you guys talk about what one person does and the other, or did it sort of organically fall that Roz does something and Sean, you do something else, or do you guys do every aspect together? Tell us a little bit about how you guys work together in the business.
Sean does most of it. I find deals sometimes, and which one's this one? Prince Street. I think I may have found them all, but not that he's not looking. It just because I work from home now since COVID. So I'm on the computer all the time, right? So I can just pop onto realtor.ca, see what's available, right? I got not signed up to any whatever notifications. I'm not signed up to any notifications because not everybody lists things the same way, right? Like they'll list it as a single home, but it's a quad, right? So I got a fourplex listed as a single family home. Like nobody looking for a single family home is going to find this quad, or nobody looking for a quad is going to find it as a single family home, right? But here it is.
Good for you.
Yeah. So, I have that thing, and I don't run the numbers through Field Check. I just run it through a different real simple app that I have. And then if I think it's good, I'll send them a link and say, like, run it your way and see what you think. And then do it that way. But I have lots of opinions on the stuff that he does.
Please expand on that.
Yes, please do. I'm curious.
No, it's just part of that because I do construction project management at Carleton for building research labs, not building buildings and whatever. So I know that most projects take 3 times as long and twice as much as the budget, right? So having that experience, and then Sean, unfortunately, we just learned that is absolutely the truth. And the larger the scope, the more likely that's going to happen, right? And that's the part that I know. And Sean was hoping that one of our larger renovations that we've ever undertaken, that the contractor really meant what he said and the timeline that he said and the cost that he said. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So.
Yeah.
So it was very discouraging. It was discouraging for Sean, although I had an expectation that that's how it would be because that's my experience at Carleton.
Yeah, Roz is very good. Also designing, like picking the materials, the colors, and coordinating stuff like that for the units.
I love that. Yes.
That is your design.
Spending.
Fun parts.
Shopping. Doesn't even matter if it's not for me.
The question is, do you stay on budget?
Yeah, I stay on budget. Yes.
Okay.
That's right. Well, not overall, but for the units I do.
Yeah, we just had a bad experience. We bought a fourplex and it needed a new roof. And then the decks, just before we're about to close, they come back. The lawyer come back from the township saying that there was work orders open on one of the decks and a couple small other things. And it's like, okay, you have 1 day to decide whether or not you want the deal or not. And it's like, well, yes. So I had the quotes already based on we were going to do the decks anyway. But then the awnings, we found out, I mean, this is all longer story than you're asking, but the awnings themselves weren't even attached to the building. So we had, instead of just laying the deck boards and whatever, we had to tear the whole thing out and then rebuild. And then the rim board around there was all rotted. And so it didn't go according to plan, but it's going to be a great payoff.
We'll get a huge lift out of it. So it's not an issue, right? Like it's not, it's just, I mean, there's no cash flow issue, but it's a timing thing, right? So it's going to take as long as it takes. And then when it's done, there'll be a huge lift out of it, like at least double what we paid for it. So,
yeah. And you guys are also a couple of faith. And I sincerely believe that everything happens for a reason. And if it takes longer, then you never know what's, in a year instead of 6 months, what the outcome is going to be and what are going to be the benefits. Because sometimes there are benefits that, it took longer and then something happens and you're like, oh, this is maybe why it took longer. So I'm sure it will all work out.
Well, even one of the places that we saw on Saturday, and they were taking the, what do you call it? The no conveyance of offers was yesterday. So we had to get find a lawyer that would read the status certificate yesterday morning. Can you read it now? I think it's good, but can you double check? Anyway, we didn't get that one, which was actually fine. But while we were trying to figure out, because that was for us, and that wasn't in the cards for right now. So it was, that creative thinking. And then through that creative thinking process, we thought of a way that we could potentially bless a friend of ours that's having some trouble, right? Because we said, oh, what if we did this? Mm-hmm. So without having to think through that deal, well, what if we get it? Mm-hmm. Like, how are we gonna come up with the money? Yeah. Then this other thing came up, but we're still gonna try and bless our friend regardless of not getting the condo, right? So
and
the biggest thing for me when it comes to the challenges is that it makes you that much stronger for the next one. Yeah, it's going to be easier to navigate things once you build up the stamina for stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we're able to help so many people that get stuck in it, right? To say, oh yeah, this is what happened to us.
Yes.
And, this happened, that was bad, and that was bad, but eventually, this happened, so it might work for you as well, right? So it's just always having, and of course, in the community that we're in, we just reach out and everybody's there to support and give whatever insurance agents, or this is what happened with me, or, how do you deal with this type of tenant? And somebody else will come in and share their experience. Like, that's awesome. I was just going to say, you had talked about mindset, that one of the things that we learned in a professional development workshop that we were in together is taking the have to and change it to get to. So, right, that it's that gratitude element.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Sean, I know that, not too long ago, you both, I guess, were newer real estate investors, just like us, a year and a bit ago. Do you guys have any tips for somebody who's trying to get into real estate and, thinking of your 20-year-old self who was, as you said, a little bit stubborn? What kind of tips can you give a new investor or somebody who wants to begin investing in real estate?
Most important thing I ever did was get a mentor. Get somebody who can show me, who's been through everything and can guide me through the steps and be there to help me so I don't trip. Or if I do trip, they can help me get back up quickly. Yeah. That would be the biggest piece of advice. Find somebody who's doing it, somebody who's where you want to be, and start working through it that way.
Awesome. Yeah. I think we did the same thing.
Yeah.
One of the first things we did is, after watching endless YouTube videos, is getting a mentor. And that has been, and we will continue to get mentored, I think, for years to come, you know, because you can always learn from somebody else who's more experienced than you.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Lastly, I just want to know, like, what's next for you guys? Like, where do you guys want to be in a couple of years? And what are you guys focusing on from the real estate point of view?
That's it.
I want to be retired.
Yes, I like that.
It's a hard question because I think about the same thing. Like, I've thought we just refinanced everything to buy a multi-unit with a friend of ours, and then it's like, well, now we're locked in for 5 years, and then I think, well, in 5 years we can sell it all off, have cash, and then become passive investors and retire. And then I'm like, I would be so bored because of the thrill of the chase and the doing all of the real estate investing. So I honestly don't know. And that's something we have to sit down and think we have to work on our vision and our path, what we're going to do. So that's a really good question. So
yeah, short term, we definitely need to have better processes. Like we already know that we need to have better processes, better systems, because we grew so much so quickly.
Yes.
And, we have a lot of doors now, and so what we've been doing when we have what Alfonso would call our onesies and twosies, but we only have twosies and foursies. And then the 18 unit. But it's just, it just requires really much better systems than what we have in place. So we knew that this was, this short-term goal was to focus on systems to make things easier and just more automated and not feel quite so painful. And of course, because tax season now is right around the corner, right? And we're like, whoa, we did so much last year.
It's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have, and obviously with a good income.
It is a good problem to have. It is a good problem to have. Yeah, absolutely. But just so that we can hand everything in a tidy bundle over to the accountant, not like a whole desk worth of stuff going, here, you figure it out, right?
Or just ask him to come over. Can you just come over and take a look at what I have on my desk and then figure it out?
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty good, but we know that we could be better. We know that we could be better, right? We know that there's a better way than what we're doing. So we just need to find it and figure that out.
That's the challenge.
Yeah. So being passive investors, I really like I like the coaching part of it, but as in the altruistic sense, right? I just want people to say what you've been taught by your parents doesn't necessarily have to be the way it is. I mean, we live in a pretty small town, and everybody here kind of has that mindset that I was saying, and even Sean's family, which was buy a house, pay off the mortgage. And it's like, no.
Don't pay off your mortgage. That is
money. You want to pay for your retirement, but to have more money coming in. That's not your pension's not going to cut it, right? So, So it's just about changing, trying to move people from that fixed mindset into that open mindset, right? And that's a struggle, but I'll take it on.
I like it.
I like that challenge.
That's awesome. And I love your growth mindset. I love the fact that you guys want to give back. I love the fact that you guys have grown so much in the past year or so, and you're not afraid to, continue growing. That really shows a lot of courage. And I'm sure our viewers going to love your interview. And if they want to reach out to you guys and ask questions, how can they do so?
I didn't even think of that. Sean at
Facebook
Woodland,
or Instagram or
through Facebook or email Sean at woodlandrealtyinvestments.com.
okay.
The best way, and we're open to talk with anybody if they have any questions about anything.
Okay.
We have a Facebook page as well. They can just message us, and one of us will get back to them. We usually have people that are asking us if we have any apartments.
There you go.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And what's your Facebook? Just so that our viewers.
Woodland Realty Investments.
Oh, it's okay. It's that one as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. It was a pleasure, and
it was awesome.
It was good to see, like Sarah was alluding to, just a combination of your faith, your journey, and then just your positive outlook on life and your growth mindset is just very inspiring. And I'm personally very happy for your success, and I know you guys are going to keep doing great things and keep serving not only your church but also your community.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
All right, and or for our viewers, don't forget to subscribe and comment if you like this episode, and reach out to Sean and Roz. They would be happy to have a conversation with you guys.
Here's the cat.
Yes. And don't forget to.
That's a great way to end it.
Yes. And as always, don't forget to live your truth.